Hey everyone, today we are going to look at a Tang Dynasty poem by a poet named Meng Jiao. He lived during the mid-Tang period, from the year 751 to 814. Meng Jiao was famous across the Tang literary world for his stark, melancholic style. His contemporaries described his poetry as cold, hungry, and full of suffering. He spent most of his life in deep poverty and struggled for decades just to get by. He did not pass the imperial examination until he was nearly 50 years old. His best-known poem is about a mother quietly sewing clothes for her wandering son. But the poem we are reading today is something completely different from that famous and tender work. This poem is called Mount Wu Hai, and it is the second of two companion pieces. It belongs to an ancient category of old courtly songs known as drum and fife songs. Mount Wu is a real mountain peak located in the famous Three Gorges region, and it carries with it centuries of mythology, romance, and haunting, unforgettable legend. Here is the full poem. I have gazed across 10,000 miles of open landscape, yet never once heard the gibbon's three mournful cries echoing through the gorge. Only the pattering rain sweeps by across the mountain, cold and relentless. And within that rain there dwells a graceful, standing soul. 1,000 years of King Xiang of Chu's bitter and unresolved sorrow, preserved and passed down in the writings of the poet Song Yu. Even now, even today, in the deep and azure void up above us, clouds gather together up above like the closed gates of a deep, hidden boudoir. Let us go through this line by line, because the first couplet is striking. The speaker says he has seen 10,000 miles of landscape stretched out before his own eyes. That is an enormous scope, essentially the entire sweep of the known world. But what he has not heard turns out to matter even more. He says that despite everything, he has never once heard the three cries of the gibbon. Gibbons in the Three Gorges were famous across China for their mournful, piercing calls. An old saying claimed that three gibbon cries would break a traveler's heart. So the poet has seen everything the world offers, but missed the one sound that truly matters. Then comes the rain. Only the pattering rain sweeps by, he tells us. The original word he uses describes a cold, whispering, persistent kind of sound. This is not a dramatic storm, but rather something quiet and endless and unsettling. And inside that falling rain, he tells us, something tall stands upright. Within it dwells a graceful soul. That is the meaning of the next line. The specific word he uses for graceful means tall, upright, elegant, and luminous. This soul is the goddess of Mount Wu, the divine woman of legend. She lingers there still in the rain that never stops falling on the mountain. Now the poem turns away from landscape and toward history to King Xiang of Chu. He was a ruler of the Chu kingdom during the Warring States period. Legend says he dreamed of a beautiful goddess who appeared to him on Mount Wu. She came to him surrounded by clouds and rain, and then vanished forever. The poet calls this 1,000 years of regret, and the emotional weight is enormous. King Xiang woke from his dream and searched everywhere, but could never find her again. That longing became a story passed down through generation after generation, lasting for centuries. And Meng Jiao picks up that same thread a full 1,000 years later. The story survived all these centuries because of one writer, and his name was Song Yu. He was a poet in the Chu court and a devoted student of Chu Yuan. He wrote the famous Gaodang Rhapsody, which recorded the goddess and the king's dream. Without his words, the entire memory of her would have been lost forever. Then the poem pulls us back from ancient history and into the present moment. Even now, the poet tells us, even today, up there in the deep blue sky. The phrase he uses for the azure void means the vast emptiness above the world. The old story is still alive and present in the sky hanging over Mount Wu. Clouds gather like the gates of a deep boudoir, he writes in the final line. A boudoir gate is the entrance to a woman's private, sealed-off living quarters. The clouds themselves become the goddess's own closed and hidden chamber up in the sky. She is still up there, locked behind clouds and rain, waiting forever. Here is something interesting about this poem and its place in the tradition. Mount Wu Hai is a UFU title, meaning it follows an established and traditional old song form. Several major Tang poets wrote their own versions under this very same title over the years. But Meng Jiao's version stands apart as the darkest and most haunting of them all. And that is the poem. 8 short lines carrying 1,000 years of longing. Meng Jiao took an ancient legend and made it feel cold, personal, and startlingly immediate. So next time you see clouds gathered on a distant mountain ridge, think of her. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all again next time.
渐尽数万里，不闻三声猿。但飞萧萧雨，中有亭亭魂。千载楚襄恨，遗文宋玉言。至今青冥里，云结深闺门。